lovely analogy about the orchestra, and I'll try and stick to that theme. So the initial bit of my response will be about how the orchestra warms up. So it's not going to sound nice. So what are we doing when we're talking about harmony? When we look around the world, we see just the opposite. Fear of Islam is being whipped up in media images. And I want you to imagine a world where the only way we hear about and learn about Islam is through the editors of some of our tabloid press. And this is unfortunately how many people do learn about Islam. There is the rise of anti-Muslim xenophobia in Europe. There is Westophobia, Muslims talking negatively about Western culture. Muslims fighting Muslims. I mean, we heard very eloquently this morning about all the problems going on in Syria, Iraq, and Egypt, and the persecution of minorities, especially Christians, in those lands. Boko Haram attacking Christians and Muslims in Nigeria, and all the problems in the Central African Republic. So, this is the orchestra sort of warming up, and the sound bites are not good. So how can we try and build this symphony? Harmony lies right at the self-understanding of Islam, because of the triliteral Arabic root, salama, means peace. Indeed, the very word Islam means that word. God created the world in a state of Islam, meaning Islam in its generic sense, and the fact that everything submits to the will of God. And this state of harmony is based on the concept of abiding peace, typified in the greeting. And it's our responsibility as human beings to strive and promote harmony within the whole created order. In the contemporary world, Muslims and Christians alike need to be reminded about the basic truth about Islam's role in relation to diverse human cultures. The Quran tells us that God created the diversity of human cultures in order that they get to know one another and be with one another in doing acts of goodness. This was the essence of all the revelations that God had sent. Therefore, there is an essential harmony between the revealed religions and a fundamental harmony between all humankind. We are all one human family. The Quran speaks of the privileged position of the Ahl al-Kitab, the people of the book, that they are to be accorded freedom of worship within the Muslim lands, and Christians are praised for their tender-heartedness and their humility. Two qualities that are crucial for harmony are knowledge and humility. The Quran also draws attention to the intensity of worship and depth of humility. That's what will bring affection between believers of different faiths. And indeed, we need to remember that there is no compulsion in religion too. Indeed, the Quran tells us that God will make clear to the communities of revelation on the day of judgment on those things upon which you differ. And as Susan was saying, we have no right to judge. Someone sitting on the bus next to you may be so close to God. We cannot judge anyone. No human community stands outside the love and the mercy and the guidance of God. And this can be seen in Muslim history. When the message of the Quran came to the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and spread rapidly in the East, and as far as Sind, and also as far as Spain in the West, the majority that came under Islamic rule were Christians, Jews, and Zoroastrians. And their history is one of acceptance of their ways of life and freedom of worship. This spirit of harmonious living needs to be stressed and reinvigorated in our troubled times. Indeed, distortions are being propagated by some ignorant and extremist groups amongst Muslims, all of which we are too sadly aware. The spirit of Islamic harmony is not just sociological, it's not just getting on and learning to live with one another, or it's not just a form of tolerating the other. It is a much deeper level of spiritual respect for other communities and individuals as bearers of the divine spirit, breathed into all human beings, sharing in ceremonies that are important to each other. I work in a Muslim school, Al-Sadiq and Al-Zahra schools, and at Christmas time, we go to our local church, and at Easter time as well, and we regularly perform a play about the life of Jesus. Recently we did a play about the miracles of Jesus in the church. These sharing in things which are important to each other is what's needed. Although the bright sun of the final revelation has come with the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, this is not seen by the Quran to destroy earlier revelations and the communities that follow them, but rather to clarify and illuminate what is authentic and godly in them. And Julian spoke this morning about how when the Christian delegation from Najran came and the Prophet, peace be upon him, let them pray in the mosque in Medina, having theologically different concepts, but yet embracing that, Thus there is a spiritual acknowledgement of the godliness of the other as a basis for deep human harmony. Such spiritual harmony means that we can learn things of God from one another, rejoice, and we can learn things and rejoice that we are all members of one human family, worshipping the one and only God. And as Susan said, that face-to-face interaction is so important. It's so beautiful that we are sitting in the same room. And we are gathered here also for the sake of God. And only God really knows that true reward. So if this is the true picture of Islamic harmony amongst people, then we need to ask, why is it not more widely known? Why don't Muslims know their own religion and history? Why do other people grow up with such a partial and distorted image of Islam? The key to this must surely be the kind of education that is on offer in our schools. Now, our religious education has been marginalized unintentionally, but now, this really needs to be addressed. Also in the education received in the madrasas and their equivalents of all other faiths. Is it acceptable that a young Muslim grows up in Britain today without a real understanding of Christianity and its place in the history and development of our society? Can we not extend this to all faiths and non-religious worldviews? We need to think about adults. Where do they get their knowledge and understanding about Islam and other faiths in our society, with the necessary disposition of humility and seeking harmony? Thank you.